Alright, so now that the PSPi version 6 has actually launched, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and order it, as well as the assembly into a PSP. So to start, click in the description and you'll find Other Mods link tree, and we're going to go to website. From here, we're going to go up to the top where it says shop, and we're going to click on PSPi or PSPi 6 board back orders. It says back order right now because the boards are in stock, but not all of them have been tested. He's going through and doing the testing currently, but I think he's got a couple hundred of them in this set, so you should be fine. Really, all it comes down to is he's still doing the QA on them. So what you do to get them ordered is first you choose what you want. So you can have the solder avoidance service. In this video I'll show you what's entailed for soldering, and if it's not your jam, take the service. Include a headphone board if you're planning on using the headphone jack on the PSP when you're done. If you're planning on using a CM4, grab the carrier board. If you already have an LCD that is supported by this board, you don't have to worry about this. But it's not the PSP one. So in this case, I'm going to select this as well. And then the battery. I have a bunch of these 2000 milliamp hour batteries, so I'm not going to bother ordering it. But if you wanted to have everything you needed, and all you have to do is, slap it all together, or I guess all you need is the PSP and slap it all together, then select them all. Your total would be, just under 160 bucks American. In my case, I'm going to take this one off and this one off. So I'm looking at 119, just under 128. So we'll go add to cart, and then view cart. You can see here, solder avoidance service is false. True for everything else except for the battery, which is also false because I have it. I'm going to proceed to checkout, and I'm not going to show you any of my billing details. However, I'm going to go back here for a second, and you'll notice when you calculate shipping, I'll just calculate it based on Virginia. Oh wait, I have to put in something. I don't know an American. Oh, I do know an American postal code. So you'll see it's free shipping. So I'm going to change address again. I'm going to change it to Canada. Change it to Saskatchewan. I'm going to change it to not my city, because you don't need to know where I'm from. Actually, I don't even need to do that part. I'll just go Actually, that'll still get you what city I'm from, but that's okay. So you see, even international shipping, granted I'm in Canada, but international shipping is free shipping. You can pay extra to get it. I assume it comes faster, but I don't know. I would just stick with the free shipping. So I'm going to proceed to checkout. I am not going to show you any of my details, and then I would place order, and then I wait 2 to 6 weeks for it to show up. We'll come back once it's here. I wonder who that is. From Other Mod? Wow, that was fast. Let's get started. We don't need that right now. We need that. Alright, so let's first start with taking a look at what's in the box. So this is exactly how you can expect everything to be shipped and packed. I mean, maybe not in the identical order, but this is how you can expect it to be shipped. So first things first, here's the main PSPi board. Now, because we also ordered the carrier board, he's installed all of our parts for us, all of these parts. So those are on, that's all on. When we're going to install it into the PSP, we'll want to remove this board, and your Raspberry Pi goes on underneath it, so it has to be removed, otherwise you'll never get your Pi on. We also get our headphone board, and unlike with my prototypes, all these type of parts, this part's already soldered onto it. We don't have to deal with this port anymore. Also in this bag is our power connector that we have to solder on, as well as our beads. These, I guess they're not beads, they're pads now. These get soldered on right here. And also in here is our thermal pad. So this is an interface pad between the Pi and the CM4, or between the CM4 and other mods board. So it ends up sitting kind of underneath there. And then I also ordered the display. Not much point in taking that out yet. It's one of the last things to go in. So if you ordered the battery as well, the battery would come in here. You also wouldn't get these or this if you paid the extra for the solder service. Well, that's everything we got. So our step one is I'm going to remove this board and get these soldered on. I'm not going to bother doing that on camera because I've done that already, so I'm just going to pop back once all the soldering's done and I'll show you the job. Alright, so this is what it looks like when the soldering job is done. So that's on the jack. That's on the pins. I've got a lot of soldering experience and they still look kind of nasty. I've even got a decent amount of experience just soldering these. I've done it 5 times now, give or take. And it's still probably one of my better ones. If you are not comfortable with really, really tight soldering, don't do it and take the solder avoidance service. It's absolutely worth it. Alright, but now I'm going to grab the other PSP, the donor PSP, and we'll get started on this. Alright, so this is the PSP we're going to be using for this. This one is my pride and joy. I've had this one since launch day. It's in fairly decent shape. And it's the one I've been waiting for the retail edition to install on. The screen needs to be cleaned a little bit, but there isn't even really any scratches on it. There's a couple of small ones, like you can see there's one there. But all things considered, this one's in really, really good shape. And is still fully functional. Oh, I still have it on actually. But, like I said, this is the one that I've been keeping for this project. I'm not going to do a lot of this on camera. I'll leave a card so you can see my full disassembly and cleaning video. In fact, I probably won't be doing most of this on camera, with the exception of pointing out some very important screws. So I will come back every time there's an important screw that you really need to make note of. I guess here's the first one, because I forgot it originally. Underneath the warranty void sticker, there are 2 screws. I'll pull off the sticker here so you can see. There. There's 2 screws, one there and one there. In my video that I have up currently, I forgot about this one until about halfway through the disassembly, when I couldn't figure out why the back cover wouldn't come off. Yeah, I'll point out the next important one. Now, I harped on this before in the last video, and I'm gonna harp on it again. There's a little rubber piece right there. See it in there? And if you lose this, it's game over. Your analog stick won't work, and I've actually started to see now on the Discord people who are saying that none of their inputs are working until they get a replacement one of these. And it is teeny tiny. So with a screwdriver, my screwdriver for scale, do not lose it. The last thing you want to do is have to reorder that little thing and have not be able to do this until that's done. Alright, that's pretty much it. The only important screws that I didn't end up popping back in for, both go right here, and one goes right here, and they hold the UMD cover on. So I'll show you those during reassembly. But yeah, that's it. These are all the parts that you'll need from it to turn it back into the to turn it into the PSPi. First, we're going to start with the headphone board. Alright, so here we are now with the headphone board put in. The screws you need to install, there's one up here, and then with the bracket that we took out, there's 2 additional screws that need to be installed, one there and one there. So next we're going to install the main board. I'll show how this one gets installed here. If, like me, you left all of this stuff in place and just kind of worked around and got this cable out, all this stuff will be here. You can take all this stuff out. It all needs to go back in, so I didn't bother. So you're going to want to lift this up, as well as this up, your power connector. Slide that in like that. The Wi-Fi antenna cable stays and gets routed through underneath. You'll kind of get its placement a little bit better after. Make sure you line up your USB port. And then on some of the models, there's a clip right here that would help hold the board in. Mine doesn't have it. On the I can't remember if it's on the new models or the old models. Oh, it's got to be on the newer models that it has the clip, because this is one of the older models. So there'll be a clip there to kind of hold in the board. If you don't have it, it's going to spring up like this, because if your pogo pin's underneath, but it's fine. It's pretty much just going to stay nicely aligned. We're going to put this guy on next, and then I'll put the metal shield on. So I'm going to metal shield. So I'm going to take a break here, or not take a break, but pause out and get these installed, and we'll come back in a second. Here's one more thing before you get into it. So I'll show you here quick. I installed this screw here to hold your D-pad in place. Make sure you plug this cable and this cable in before you install the metal shield over top. This one you can't put in once the shield's on top, and this one is a screaming pain in the butt to do. So just make sure you do that. Also make sure you have your speaker wires not hidden behind the board. I had this one hidden and forgot to take it out, so I got it out now. Right. Next, we'll come back when the shield's installed. Alright, I'll add one more thing. So you can see both those connectors are in. Now before everything's all screwed down and everything's still accessible, this is a very, very, very good time to check and make sure you're getting power. Because especially for those who soldered this themselves, if you got the solder avoidance service, you probably don't need to worry about this. Other mod will have already tested it. But because I did my own soldering job, it's a good time to plug it in. And the board will light up like that. You can see there's an LED up here, and an LED here. It says it thinks that it's charging. It's not charging because there's no battery in it, but so long as it lights up, you know you're getting power. That's all you're after. Now we'll come back once the shield's on. Yeah, those are in, and I almost forgot what I keep harping on people as being the most important part. Alright, so we're back to this guy. See if I can get it to focus in properly on it. Of course not. There we go. So, when you look at it, you can see like there are stripes going across it. And then in another direction, it just looks like dots. So you want it to go in the dot way. Because if it goes in the stripe way, it's not going to work. So if you can see the stripes once you install it, it's in sideways. So I'm going to just pause this so I don't end up dropping it and losing it, plus it's all out of focus anyways. So I've got it installed here. It's hard to see that it's installed right on this side. As soon as you turn it sideways, this way, you'll see that it's got the stripes on it. And this way, you can see the lines. If when you turn it this way, you see dots and not lines, and it has lines this way, you've installed it sideways. So make sure that when you look at it sideways, you see the lines. Otherwise, it will not connect properly. Alright, from here, I'm going to install the LCD and the home bar. Right, the LCD and home bar are installed. I'm not going to take off the protective film on it until after I've fully tested everything. So as it stands right now, I'm just going to put the top cover back on. And it should be just fine to mostly just rest on there for our testing. You are going to want it to screw in because it won't sit, perfectly flush. But for testing, we don't necessarily want to rip all the screws back on. Plus, you'll probably have to clean the inside of your lens, and we still have to take off that other part. So now I'm going to go grab a Pi, and I've got our new carrier board. Grab a Pi and an SD card, and show you the next step. Alright, got my Pi here. I've already installed my thermal pad onto it. Let's just make sure you remove both sides from it. And then we put it into the Pi. You'll see that the screw holes line up for it, but you also want to make sure that your connectors line up. So if you look, if I line it up incorrectly, the connectors don't quite match up. So make sure you have it the right way around. Basically the Wi-Fi connector, or the Wi-Fi module, closest to your pins. Here. Alright. Flip this guy over. And we're going to want to connect our Wi-Fi cable. It goes directly onto the Pi. If you have like a damaged Wi-Fi cable, or you just don't want to mess with it, you can go into your configurations for whatever operating system you're using and allow the CM4 to use its internal antenna instead of the external one. There we go. That's connected. So for now, I'm just going to kind of shove it out of the way. And plug the Pi into our board here. Push it all the way down. I'm not going to bother with the screws yet because let's do the full test before we screw that in. So I'm going to grab the SD card out of my current one. Getting the SD card in and out on the CM4 one is possible with the door on. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's doable. It is not possible on the Pi 0 or 02. I can actually show you in a second here why. So that's plugged in. We still don't have a battery. We're going to grab our power cable. And just fire it up and see. That's never a good sign. I'm going to troubleshoot and I'll let you know what happened. Yeah, I figured it out right away. I made a rookie mistake that I've told people 1,000 times not to forget about. On the CM4, it ships in this state. USB boot, you need to flip it over. Once it's flipped over, and then power it on, and it should fire right up. There we go. And here we're just going to go through quickly and check to make sure everything works. Sometimes things won't work because the case isn't sitting quite right. And it's because we don't have screws into it yet. But once we know for sure that buttons are working, it's jumping back on me. That's the analog stick moving things around. And because the alignment wasn't quite right, once it's all screwed together, we won't have that issue. But everything looks good. So in all the supported operating systems, if you've already got them installed and everything's flashed on properly, you just slide up and it'll shut them down. Once it's fully off. Alright, I'm going to install the screws. Alright, let's screw it all back together. Let me get this one out of the way. I've screwed it all back together, cleaned it up a little bit now so you can see that, you know, I actually didn't know about the gouge there at the bottom of the screen. But otherwise, this PSP is in great shape. We've got it all screwed back together. I've taken the film off. I've screwed down the Pi. So next, we're going to go with the battery. Now this is my battery here. But because I have my own batteries already, I'm going to show you something to be very, very careful for if you're also using your own batteries. So I've got a bunch of these guys. So when I plug this one in, you'll see on the board itself, you see positive and negative. Make sure that the way your battery plugs in has the positive and negative in the right orientation. So like that, positive on the top. My batteries don't ship like that. So the correct way for these batteries to go in, because they've got the keying mark on them, these ones would go in like this, with positive on the bottom. If yours are like that too, just lift up these little tabs here, and you can pull the wires out, swap their orientation, put them back in, and then you can plug them straight in. Don't put them in backwards. It could be very, very bad for your project. So now the cable will come out. There's a little notch here. So there's a little notch there. That's where your battery cable will come out. how you put it in here to give yourself enough room, that's really up to you. I generally have them coming out the bottom, but this way. Then the cable can double back. Basically just takes up some of the extra cable length I've got. Then you slide on the battery door now. Maybe I can slide on the battery door right now. Oh, come on. Oh, wire was in the way. There. Now the cable's coming out there. It still has some slack on it. But we're all plugged in. So I would just tuck it kind of underneath there so it's not in the way. And now we can put the door on. So, on the inside of the door, it has this little track here. That's where this spring goes. First things first, you want to make sure you get that track, that spring in the track, and then just make sure it stays there while you do the next part. You want to put the spring side in first, and slowly kind of hold in the center here. So you push down on this side so it bows out a little bit, and it makes it easier to slide it down. Wiggle it around a bit, make sure it clicks into place, and you're good. Oops. Make sure your Wi-Fi cable is not in the way. And close it up. Oh, come on. You may want to find a better way to route that. I could have found a better way to route that. There. And now I've got fingerprints all over the screen. Big thing is to make sure your analog stick is working. If you have problems, going back in now is a better time. And that's it. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Remember, until next time, doesn't matter if you make or break, as long as you're having fun.